So, just over a year since launch, Xbox Series X. What do I think about it? Let's do this. So, I've been really fortunate to have owned the Xbox Series X since launch day here in the UK. And after a year, about a year and a couple of months to be exact, I would like to share my thoughts on anything that has changed, in my opinion, of the Xbox Series X. But before we get into it, I just want to say a massive Happy New Year to all of you gamers out there. I hope 2022 brings us a whole heap of brand new games and experiences that we've never had. And yeah, happy gaming. But yeah, let's get into it. So, here is the good, the bad, and the ugly. The 5 things I love, the 3 things I don't quite like, and the 2 things I hate about the Xbox Series X after a year of ownership. So first, the 5 things I love about the Xbox Series X. And first up, the first thing I love about the Xbox Series X after a year of owning it is backwards compatibility. Yes, the PS5 does do it. In fact, more consoles have done it than haven't done it, as far as I know. But what makes backwards compatibility on the Xbox so different is just how comprehensive it is, how many areas of the old games it improves. It is just a phenomenal way to have done backwards compatibility, and you can't help but love it. Look, we all have backlogs. We all have at least one game that we didn't get to finish or even play. And why wouldn't you want to play that game in the best possible light? To really see how it was intended to be seen and played. To really tap into the artist's true intent. Things like FPS boost and auto HDR have really brought new life to old games. In fact, they've made some okay games good games. Simply put, the raw power of the Xbox Series X has elevated classic games to new heights, and I absolutely love it. Honestly, it's such an amazing thing to play a game that brings back so much nostalgia, but to be able to play it with the boost of current modern gaming hardware. Fantastic. And that is why backwards compatibility is the first thing I love about the Xbox Series X after owning it for just over a year. So, the second thing I love about the Xbox Series X after a year is smart delivery. The simplest way to describe smart delivery is that you simply get the best game for the Xbox you are currently playing that game on, and your saves move with you. And that is an amazing thing, especially when you look and see what the competition is currently doing with their upgrade paths. If you have a game on the Xbox One on last generation and you want to move it up to the Xbox Series current generation, you simply do it. It's literally as simple as that, and you get all the bells and whistles that come along with the next gen or current gen gaming experience, as long as smart delivery is supported by that game. No confusing upgrade path, no £10 charge. You simply hit download or insert disc and you are getting the best version of that game for the console you are currently playing it on. It's that easy. And with what the competition, with what PlayStation is currently doing with their upgrade path, it's made me appreciate even more the simplicity of smart delivery. 1 year on, and there is nothing that the competition has done to even come close to matching smart delivery, and that is the reason why it makes it to number 2 on the 5 things I love about the Xbox Series X. Now, the third thing I love about the Xbox Series X is Quick Resume. For me, Quick Resume is the biggest and best next gen feature on these consoles outside of their actual hardware. To be able to turn off my Xbox mid-gaming session and not have to worry about saving, and then be able to turn it back on hours, days, or even weeks later and literally just be right back where I left off. No loading screens, no selecting profiles, no splash screens. Literally just right back to gaming. Console to gaming in just 2 clicks. Wow. Wow. Sure, it doesn't work all the time, but when it does, it's so magical. It's magical enough to make it to number 3 on my list, and that's saying something. Quick Resume is phenomenal tech, and seriously, it should be imitated by Nintendo and Sony. So, if you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know how much I love number 4 on this list. And number 4 is Game Pass. Love it or hate it, you simply cannot deny the value that Game Pass brings to us gamers. For the price of 2 AAA PlayStation exclusives, you can get Game Pass for an entire year. Sure, we are technically renting these games, but that is not the point. We still have the option to go out and buy these games physically or digitally and own them that way if we really want. Or we can even wait until they're heavily discounted and go out and buy them physically or digitally, which is something I'm planning on doing myself. The point is that for £11 a month here in the UK for Game Pass Ultimate, I get access to all of the Xbox's exclusives. I'm talking Forza Horizon 5, my personal favourite game of last year, and Halo Infinite, a true return to OG Halo for me anyway. And I'm only paying £11 a month. Sure, over the long run, yes, I am paying a significant amount of money, but as I'm paying for it monthly, I have the option to just pause my subscription if I know that I'm not going to be playing my Xbox for a brief moment in time. And if I do want to go out and buy these games physically, I still have the option to do so. So I don't really understand why people are trying to argue or downplay the value that Game Pass brings, because it's truly phenomenal value. And I guarantee you, if PlayStation or Nintendo had a similar feature, the PlayStation and Nintendo die-hard fanboys will be screaming, just like the Xbox fanboys are, that this is the best thing to ever happen in gaming. And I do truly think it is at least one of the best things to ever happen in gaming. And just because of that insane value, that's why it makes it to number 4 on my list of the 5 things I love about the Xbox Series X after a year of owning it. So, as I mentioned before, if you know me, you know that I love Game Pass, and so it's a bit odd that it didn't make it to number 5 on this list, the thing I love most about my Xbox Series X after owning it for a year. And that's because the thing I love most about my Xbox Series X after a year of ownership is the level of convenience that this beast of machine brings to my gaming life. If we combine the previous 3 things on my list, Smart Delivery, Quick Resume and Game Pass, it now makes the Xbox Series X the most convenient gaming console I have ever owned in my life. You cannot underestimate convenience. Convenience is why Uber, Netflix and Amazon are such big companies. Convenience is such a massive thing right now in our generation, and the Xbox is by far the most convenient console to play games on right now. And I've actually got a video where I'm going to highlight this, but that's for a different day. But all this to say that convenience is the one thing I love most about the Xbox Series X after a year of ownership. And I simply wish that all consoles were this convenient in the past, and I hope that all consoles get this convenient, or even more so in the future. So, those are the 5 things I love about the Xbox Series X after a year of ownership. Let me know in the comments below if you agree, disagree, or would change the list up in any way. But yeah, those are my 5 things that I love. Now let's get on to the 3 things I don't quite like. The first thing I don't quite like about the Xbox is the narrative of power, or at least the narrative that was thrown at us before the console launched. Why isn't it being utilised now? Why aren't third-party games running significantly better, or at least 20% better, on the Xbox Series X? Yes, Forza looks fantastic, it looks phenomenal, but that came out a lot later than we would have liked or anticipated. More on that later though. Look, I know that it's early days, and games like Hellblade 2 have potentially showcased what the console will be able to do in the future. But at least having a game out right now within the first year of the console that really blows anything out of the water that we've previously seen anywhere would have been a really, really good touch to really back up that power narrative. Yes, Forza looks phenomenal, but it's not that far away from anything else we've seen anywhere else that is capable of producing phenomenal looking content, if that makes sense. Yes, power isn't everything. I mean, look at the Switch and the Switch's success. And the Switch has some of the best games I've ever played on console or handheld. But still, don't make power a pillar that you stand on and not showcase it within the first year of a console being out. Doesn't make sense, and it is something that's really irked me during the first year of owning the Xbox. Next up, the second thing I dislike about the Xbox Series X after a year is still the UI. Yes, it's functional, and I guess that's what really matters. But I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Microsoft is arguably the biggest software company in the world. This is their bread and butter. So why aren't they flexing this on one of their most premium bits of hardware that they produce? Why not showcase what they can really do and flex their muscles here? I mean, you cannot tell me that this is the best that they can do, because I'll find that hard to believe. Really, really hard to believe. I mean, it's really akin to the old Windows Tile UI that they used on the Windows mobile phone platform. And sure, it was really cool at the time, but like, things move on, and I feel like, especially with the hardware that they have on offer, the UI should have moved on with the times as well. It's not a pleasant experience for me to use, and for that reason, this is why it makes it to number 2 on the things I dislike about the Xbox Series X after a year of owning it. So, the thing I dislike most about the Xbox Series X after a year of owning it is the expandable storage solution. Now, I haven't actually gone out and purchased this for myself for the one reason that it's just ridiculously expensive. For Xbox's image of having the best valued current gen console and the best value gaming proposition within the console wars, it's a bit baffling that they have the least valuable expansion storage option between themselves and the PlayStation. And they've tried to remedy this by offering more storage options, but they're still more expensive than the competition. And yes, it is a lot more simple to install and all of that stuff, but at the end of the day, once it's done, once it's in the console, once you forget that it's actually there, the deficit in money is what matters. And right now, that gap is just getting bigger and bigger as the value proposition on Sony's end works because of competition from other manufacturers. And yeah, it's just baffling to me. Granted, I haven't run out of space to store games, but with the sizes of games getting bigger and bigger, eventually there might come a point where I do need to invest in an expandable storage card. And at the current prices, it's going to be a bitter pill to swallow. And it's not like Microsoft can't afford to lower the price, to compete on price. I guess they don't have to, but I think they should really reconsider their pricing strategy. But yeah, that is the thing I dislike most. The fact that everything is so aligned as a value proposition apart from that one thing. So, those were the 3 things I dislike about the Xbox Series X after a year of owning it. All of these things can easily be remedied. Maybe not the power narrative, but I mean, we're so early on in this console life cycle that I'm sure the raw power of the Xbox will be realized at some point. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree. Now we get into the 2 things that I hated about owning the Xbox Series X within the first year of its launch. First up, the lack of AAA games. Yes, we have Halo and we now have Forza. Yes, they are truly phenomenal games. And yes, they were technically worth the wait because of that. But a whole year has gone by, or went by, without any form of AAA exclusive on the Xbox. And by that I mean brand new AAA exclusives on the Xbox. And to me, that's somewhat unacceptable. Like, a whole year without any must-have, must-buy games. Sure, you can say the same thing about the PS5, but I feel like that will be a bit of a reach. The PS5 had games, and they had games on launch. Don't get me wrong though, there have been AA or single A games, if that's even a thing. There have been fun games. That's what I'm trying to say. There has been fun games on Game Pass for the Xbox exclusively, but there haven't been the heavy hitters within the first year. And it's a bit of a strange one for me, because Halo is here now and Forza is here now, and they are great games, and I am having so much fun with both of them. And like I said earlier, Forza was my favourite game of last year. This is an odd one for me, because there are now a bunch of games. Forza is here, Halo's here, and the roadmap for 2022 looks crazy packed with really, really big games that have true potential to be phenomenal. But the first year was lackluster, to say the least. And luckily, there was a big enough backlog to kind of mitigate that void. But yeah, the lack of AAA games really irked me. And that's why it makes it to number 1, not the top thing I hate, but the first thing I hated about owning an Xbox Series X a year into its life. So, if it wasn't the lack of games, what was it then that I hated the most about owning an Xbox Series X for the first year of its life? And that is the lack of gaming innovation that they've brought with the Xbox Series X. The Nintendo Switch is different. The DualSense is different. The Xbox Series X is just the Xbox One X times 5. That's it. Don't get me wrong, that's still an amazing feature to boast about. But that's it. Just raw power. This is from the company that gave us the OG Connect, the company that gave us Rumble triggers, and also the company that currently has HoloLens. Why is there nothing of that caliber found on the Xbox? Why is there nothing here that cannot be imitated somewhere else? Look, the narrative that Xbox has no games is now dead, because the games are here, the games are coming, and the games are going to be great. But where is the innovation? Where is that thing that you pick up an Xbox and you go, wow, how have I not gamed like this before? Hopefully it will come. I highly doubt it will, but within the first year of owning an Xbox and a PS5, I can truly say when I do hop on the Xbox, I do really miss some of the DualSense features. And only time will tell if that changes, but during the first year, that is the one thing I have hated most about gaming on the Xbox, that it's just more of the same and nothing has really changed. Don't get me wrong, I've had an amazing time. I just wish that Xbox has brought a truly new experience to us with the Xbox Series consoles. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if there are anything I've missed or anything you hate or truly love about the Xbox Series consoles. Overall, I have truly loved the year I have spent gaming on the Xbox Series X. Could it have been better? Yeah, sure, it could have. But honestly, it's still been truly amazing. And that's what counts, right? Having fun gaming. And honestly, I have had so much fun gaming on the Xbox Series X. With that being said, we buy consoles for the games first and foremost. And honestly, for a good chunk of year one, the Xbox didn't deliver anything new. But we also play consoles for convenience. And the Xbox has delivered convenience by the bucket load. I definitely don't regret getting an Xbox. I've had too much fun to regret getting an Xbox in year one. And that was without the heavy hitters, without Halo, without Forza. But now that Halo and Forza are here, I recommend this console now more than I did a year ago when I reviewed it. Honestly, this is by far the best Xbox that Microsoft has ever released. And honestly, I've had more fun on this Xbox than any previous Xbox I can think of. Maybe not the OG Xbox, Halo LAN parties, but that's not necessarily this Xbox's fault. Anyway, all this to say that, yeah, it still gets a thumbs up from me. 10/10 recommend. I love the Xbox. But whilst I've got you all, I just wanted to say another massive Happy New Year to you all, and I hope 2022 brings you all a bucket load of blessings, good health, good games, and prosperity. And I am going to try and be a ton more consistent on this channel, and at least try to get myself to 1,000 subscribers, and so I have a bit more creativity in the things I can do on this channel. But I appreciate this community that we're all building together. I'll also try to be a lot more active in the comments. And yeah, let's just have an amazing gaming 2022. To me, to you, happy gaming.